Hey man, say man, it's your boy DAA man, Daalight TV. Back at y'all with some more of that mafia material type shit. Hit that like and subscribe button and smash that notification bell if you're really mobbing with the content. Daalight TV, let's get it. So y'all probably noticed or whatever, I've been a little absent, you know what I mean? Like I still been posting, but not as crazy as I was in the beginning. Especially with the mafia material profile pieces and the whole podcast, thing. Um, Reason being, like, life be life, and I've been dealing with, some family shit. Um, and but more so, I've been working. Let's say I got a bunch of music projects. I was writing and I've been recording and everything like that, and just trying to organize how I want to drop that. But most of all, as pertaining to the YouTube thing, I've been working on the whole on a Zopound piece, because after I did the Ali Zoe Adams story, which was episode 2 of the Mafia Material series, um, a couple of them well, one of them Zoes down south or whatever, reached out and let me know, like, it was well received. You know what I mean? So I I decided to dive a little deeper, because since Ali has been on this whole press run, a lot of people have come out, the snitch allegations with Gary Soufant and all of that. And so I started doing a deeper dive into all of that. And, you know, it got some attention. You know what I mean? They were supposed to do. Um, and while I was researching all of that, I was coming across like different, articles, bits and pieces. And once I spoke to the homie, shout out Jay Dirty, uh I decided, like, man, you know what? I'm gonna do a deeper dive. I'm gonna do some more research. You know what I mean? I ended up gathering about 40 years worth of like articles and press release from like the DEA, FBI, Department of Justice, pertaining to Zopound and other Haitian gangs and everything like that, right? So after that, I started going through the YouTube clip, and just kind of connecting, all of these like pieces. And, with the information I gathered, and I didn't even finish going through all the information yet. But as I'm pulling up the joints or whatever, I came across interview with Ali on Dread Boy TV or Dread Boy Films. And, shout out Dread Boy Films. Ali was speaking on Trick Daddy, well, Trina and Trick Daddy, but the part we're going to focus on or whatever is Trick Daddy, because it kind of led to, it was a good segue into something I always wanted to do a video on. I just never like really got around to it. And while I was just doing research on something else, the name came up. And so I figured, the hell with it. Like, what I mean? Let me do a breakdown of this. So first, I'm gonna play this clip, the part, what I mean, that leads, and then I'm gonna break it down or whatever. So let's get into it. Ali Adam, Dreadboy TV or Dreadboy Films. I keep saying TV. Daalight TV, you heard? But yeah, Dreadboy Films. I'll leave a full link. I'll leave the link to like the full interview clip and all that in the comments, and well, not in the comments, but in the description or whatever. You know what I mean? So let's get into it. Yeah.
Y'all good, because I never really heard anything about you and Trick Daddy, you know what I'm saying? coming up in the game, either way it go. You know what I'm saying? So what's up with you and Trick? What's up with Trick?
Trick Daddy 305, Trick Daddy from Miami, you know, but within Miami, Trick Daddy first. Trick Daddy is not a gangster.
Huh?
Yeah, Trick Daddy's not a gangster. You know, I know Trick Daddy because I'm raised in this box called Miami. You know, I know of him very good. And when I speak on a person like Trick Daddy, right? I'm trying to state my perspective on how I see Trick Daddy. Trick Daddy is from Miami. But back in the when we grew up, back in 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, Trick Daddy wasn't around. He was never around, never seen. I never saw him. I never knew of him. I never saw him drive by. I never seen him, walk around. He came into the game as the streets within 21 years old, and he came into the game at 21 years old, but within Miami, he's from down south. You know, Miami is not split up. We're a family in Miami, but in the county jail, we don't went through a lot of different things because there's down south and there's North Miami. And Trick Daddy from, Carl gave us for rhymes, Ghouls, Florida City right now in Florida, and number one in murder right now, Florida City from down south. I'm from the north. From the north, it's Overtown, Wynwood, Lud Haiti, Liberty City, Attapada, Darkside, Lakeside, Little River, Kansas City, Opalaka, Lake Lucerne, Bajas. And I'm from the north side. And from the north side, we popping. We them savage. We the one that's making them noise. All them rappers, they from there. Everything, man, we tell each other, man, go to another state and go take over if you want to be known from the north side. We never really fought with the south. But Trick Daddy, as you saying, he was always infatuated with the north side of it. Not to say, Piranhas, them ain't bumping and ghouls, but
So that's interesting that he pointed out, and it's something very similar. It's almost like the flip side in New York, right? Because like if you looked at like just the city of Miami as a state, right? Because it really is kind of like a city state because it's a city that got a bunch of cities in it. You know what I mean? But it's like New York and upstate, right? So there's parts of upstate that get popping. You understand what I'm saying? Utica, Syracuse. You know what I mean? They call Utica Shutica. You know what I mean? For a reason. And like, I was locked up with a lot of niggas from upstate, man. All them boys was in there on gun charges and shootings and you know what I mean? Rob, so it's popping upstate, man. Them Griselda niggas definitely showed y'all. You know what I mean? What the fuck be going on up there? A lot of money up there too. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's like that was the whole thing, bro. It's like go out of state, you know what I mean, and get you some money, you know what I mean, build you a name and you be coming back like bigger than life and shit, pulling up on the scene and, posting up and shit. So, it's kind of crazy, but yeah, that's a real hood similarity. It's just the reverse, right? Like in the northern part, it's clicking, but in the South, it's like considered, more laxed or whatever. And that's kind of the perception that, people have, except in New York, it's like the city is down bottom and the North is considered to be more laxed and everything like that. But I just thought I'd point that out. That was just kind of some interesting hood politics. Back to it though.
we was a little more trending, as far as other states, us young, and we was them young dudes. Like I said before, I got a 7 trade, I got a car, 73. I'm walking around with the two most feared niggas, British and NB. And I'm 12 years old, I mean, Booby them cool, but I'm walking around with the two who I'm walking around with is British and NB, and it's like, they feared,
Movie
and I'm 12
boys.
years old with a car. There's other young people, Cameron, Rastafari, Nabi, all these people here, from my neighborhood was really, you know what I'm saying, we was young and popping, but Trick wasn't one of us, I'm saying. We all had to meet up from 12 years old at Carver Ranch. Carver Ranch was a teeny bobble club. Pat Jam, John Walsh. We had to meet up National Guard Army. We met up every week, us little teens. We meet up, we go, we juried up, we good, we good. We with the big dope boys, cocaine running crazy. We getting money. I'm searching. But as far as Trick, and I'm stating that why, and I would label him on your, because your podcast is worthy. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Sure.
why would this man say this? But it's like I'm saying, Trick Daddy came to the north side at 21 years old through the pork and beans, through a dude named Bess, you know what I'm saying, Twan, you know what I'm saying, and Lime on 15. Duke, everything, but he hung around a dude named Bess in the pork and beans. He was like a hose and clothes. He knew all the top holes, all the top clothes. And he hung around, he was cool and everything.
All right, so now that's the part I wanted to get to, or whatever that like stuck out to me and made me want to finally get to this spill on Trick, right? We all know that when Trick Daddy came out, for those of y'all old enough to remember, Trick was like a changing of the guard in Miami, because for a long time we just associated Miami hip hop with the bass music, or what niggas outside of the region would call the booty shake music, right? That was popularized by, or pioneered by Luke, you might say, and and spread out, group like the 69 Boys and shit like that, right? Then, on the more street side though, like even before Trick, you had JT Money, man, Poison Clan, you know what I mean? Yeah, see, I'm a New York nigga, bro, but I know hip hop, like, you know what I mean? I don't care where it come from, you know what I mean? And I know, street history. So I'm gonna always be able to connect, you know what I mean, like them dots, because I was paying attention. Mixtape junkie, DVD era, you know what I mean? Like we used to buy them joints, go to the trap, and you know what I mean, just be watching them joints or whatever in between plays, you know what I mean? So yeah, bro, like now when Trick come out though, it's really a different speed or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as the picture he was painting of Miami, AKs, fades, and braids, you know what I'm saying? Shit like so I always thought that Trick was originally like from the pork and beans, and that he was from like Liberty City or something like that. I And that, because he always talk about his mama. I think his mama had like 10, 11 kids. I'm over here trying to roll up. Y'all see what the fuck going on. But he so I thought he was originally from over there. Now what's interesting is hearing Ali say that, he never seen Trick on scene, and that he came through the pork and beans, you know what I mean? Like he started affiliating himself with North Miami, the Pork and Beans Project, which he always shouted out and said that, that's where he was from. And that, he came over there through a dude named Best. Now, Best is a dude that was down with Booby and them. And he, Best was featured on, Army did a little time, but he was featured on a documentary that Rick Ross put out called the MIAO Cocaine Capital. You feel me? And dude, he started speaking on like, Miami politics and how, all the Booby friends wasn't his friends and, different things. And then he goes into a part about people in the city who they give more like a bigger welcome home or whatever to niggas who told than they do the people who actually stood on all 10 and, you know, did their time and came home the right way. And one of those people that he brought up in that situation was, in that scenario, was Pop Young. And he talked about, now Pop Young is Charles Young, who is Trick Daddy's father. Um, and he talked about how Charles Young went and took the stand at Boobie's trial and said that Boobie killed his son Hollywood, which is Trick's brother, which is what you call it, which is the dude that Trina was dealing with, which is how Trick knew Trina. You know what I mean? Because his brother was, you know, knocking it out. And you know, that's how he, you know, got her on the Nan thing, and you know, it was history from there. But the whole point about it is this, right? From the moment, now we all know, you know, that when Rick Ross came out in 2006, you know, with the hustling joint, I kind of heard it in 2005 ish or something like that. But you know, like I said, I was tapped in with the mixtapes and all that. Ross come out with the joint or whatever out the gate. He shouting out Boobie, like, you know what I mean? He wore the t-shirt right in front of the Carol Mart. He said, when they snapped black, I cried for 100 nights. You know what I mean? He caught 100 bodies facing 100 life. Like, you know, even though it was 100 shootings, it's 35 bodies is what they accused him of. It was 100 shootings. Y'all know I like to be, you know, accurate and shit, right? But water is love. Drink your water. It's good for you. Keep you from cramping up. So in the beginning, everything, you know what I mean, is cool. We see Trick, you know what I mean, basically co-signing Ross because, you know, Slip and Slide was involved. So like Ted Lucas, you know what I mean, like even put that nigga down, even knowing that he was affiliated with the crew that is tied to the murder of the brother of his flagship artist, for real. You know what I mean? Like Trick was the Michael Jordan of Slip and Slide. So you know, all of this like cross politicking, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, everybody's kind of like, I'm pretty sure everyone knows, you know, like what's going on behind the scenes even better than I know now. Like, you know, with hindsight being 2020 and all that and the information being out there. But long not long story short. But anyway, Trick is on Ross's album, Ross is on Trick's album. You know, they doing the collab with Khaled, born and raised in the county of Dade, and you know, all this, right? So everybody knows everybody's history. At some point, people start looking at like Ross, you know, like he's how could I say? Like he the new king of Miami. He the new mayor of Miami and shit. Cause like they saying Luke is the king. You know what I'm saying? But they saying like he the new big dog like for the streets. He got the streets. And I don't know if there's a more legitimate reason behind like, you know, that shit. But you know, or like a deeper than rap version of that shit. But it's like at some point Trick Daddy does an interview where he points out that Rick Ross was a CO at one point. You know what I mean? Like, you know, called him the police and all that. And start questioning, you know, how, you know, you moved all this dope and, you know, all this other thing. So basically debunking the whole dope boy persona that Ross came in the game with. And like that shit was kind of getting around, but it didn't go viral until, of course, like the meat situation. 50 Cent, like ended up into it with Ross. And from my recollection, that thing started because after the New York record with Ja Rule, where like, he ended up beefing with Jada and Fat Joe. Um, that shit, that shit kind of spilled into the situation with Khaled, because Khaled was Terror Squad, and then, by that time, Khaled had done a lot for Ross, like in his career. So I really believe that's where it all started with Ross. That's why I always said, like, the thing with them was really just some rap shit. Like, yeah, the Ja Rule shit was serious, but like, he ain't had no real like smoke with Joe, like, and all that. Like, they weren't involved in no queen politics like that. You know what I mean? But basically, yeah, Ross just like 50, he a personality. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that nigga know how to get on there and, pop shit and be entertaining, and people will watch, you know. But basically 50 became like an echo chamber for what Trick said. Cause I guess while he was just digging around or whatever and trying to, figure out what to hit Ross with, and then he came across the CO thing. Now, I just think or whatever, I always thought it would just kind of look like a sucker move, right? Because, all right, for one, everybody, we all know, like Officer Ricky, all that shit, whatever, that shit was hilarious. Like the back and forth between Rick Ross, probably one of the most entertaining, like, beef that we've seen 50 ever be in. And especially like me as a 50 Cent fan, I felt like Raw did probably one of the best jobs at holding his own in that situation. Um, Him and Cameron, like, you know what I mean? Like the only trump card was, like getting Jimmy, to go on like the whole little stage show and perform with him. But other than that, you know, like Ross really did manage to like sustain a career even after that happened, because you got to think that's really when he went on his run. That's when like the BMF, joined and all that shit comes out. And he's going crazy. Maybach music, that whole era, like, they was damn near running World Star. You feel me? So the fact that Trick knows all of this history and that he came through the pork and beans through Best and everything, he definitely knew that Ross, like Ali said, pretty much got down with the whole corrections officer thing as a play for Booby, right? So that being said, for you to try to turn and change the narrative or spin a narrative and everything like that, because you got to think about how early this is. This is still the early 2000s, right? So Booby got snatched up in 99. I think he got convicted and everything and sentenced in 2000. So meaning that this case is still, like anybody that's involved, the statute of limitations is still running on it, is what I'm saying. You feel me? So yeah, dog, like, he kind of damn near like put Ross in a ringer, because you can't necessarily sit there and say, oh yeah, I was down with them, but I was only doing that or whatever as a favor to my partner who is a big drug lord. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of crazy. It's like you gonna make the nigga box you with one arm. You know what I mean? Uh, but I mean, Ross did it though, because I mean, shit, Trick did all of that shit, but at the end of the day, that boy Ross was just putting that music out. Like, you know what I mean? You just couldn't, like, talent, bro. Like, you know, a nigga talented. You know what I mean? And it's like 50 talented too. It was just that Ross did what Ja Rule never did. You know what I'm saying? And that was he stayed in his lane. Like Ja let 50 talking about him doing duets and all of that. And then he tried to go back to being like hardcore, and it just kind of made it look like, oh, he got under your skin, and you know what I mean, like that. When everybody was saying that Ross was a fake gangster, that nigga came out and said, I think I'm Big Meech, Larry Hoover, whipping work. Hallelujah. So, you know, he just kind of stood his ground. Like, I don't care what none of y'all talking about. It's the biggest. You know what I'm saying? All this shit. So now, you know, it's like, bro, if you gonna like trip on a nigga about, you know, being called if you ain't trip on that nigga for being affiliated with the crew that took your brother out, that your daddy told on, I don't understand why you gonna start tripping about people saying, you know, when it comes to rap, like Ross is the mayor of the city or he got the streets and everything like that. You know what I mean? It's like, bro, it's much worse shit that you could have, pushed the line on. You feel me? So yeah, that's just my spill on that, bro. You know, Trick Daddy was the one that put it out there. Best was kind of the one that probably got under his skin because come to find out, he was the one that started bringing Trick Daddy around, like, you know, and how he got solidified in North Miami. And then eventually, I guess after his pop told, that's probably how he ended up over there in Opalaka. You know what I mean? Like, you know, with a whole nother set of niggas. Because he damn sure couldn't be over there around them booby boys when his daddy then did what he did. You feel me? So, yeah, man. Let me know what y'all think. Get in the comments. Let me know anything or whatever I might have missed. You know what I mean? We definitely going to touch back on this. Like I said, I came across this while I was doing some research for the Zopound project I'm putting together. You know, shout out to all the subscribers, man. Trying to get back in motion or whatever. You know what I mean? A little more consistent or whatever, bringing more content to y'all on the regular. You know, just definitely had to get some things in order, ducks in a row, you know what I mean, and hack these chickens, you know what I mean? So, yeah, man, if you're still here, appreciate y'all. Hit that like and subscribe button and smash that notification bell if you're really mobbing with the content. And as always, stay dangerous so you can be safe. It's your boy Daalight, Daalight TV. I'm out.